footsteps? I've got a possible visual.
Footsteps. Who's there?
So this doctor, this scientist at Seraph is, again, another good voice actor story because I'm not sure if you've recognized this voice yet, but this is Alex Ivanovich, who also plays Ari Van Bruggen in the game. And again, also, you'll hear him later as some of the crazies in the Omega Ranch.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite characters. I'm glad Mary mentioned earlier that his role as Van Bruggen, we had a hard time casting that because for me personally, I remember they wanted a Dutch accent, and I did a lot of research, and there wasn't, I don't want to offend any Dutch people, wasn't to say it wasn't interesting, but it wasn't, it didn't really allow us to have fun with the character and give him sort of like a bit of a quirky sort of side, and we liked that he was a hacker and everything, so we kind of said, okay, well, we can't really incorporate the Dutch accent in where it's working for us. So we gave him a bit of free rein, and we gave him, like Mary already mentioned, the Gary Oldman True Romance reference, and he came up with something that was totally original, and we really loved it. He did such an amazing job. My only disappointment is that we didn't have time on the character side to give him a unique character that suited the voice, and instead he ended up being kind of normal looking.
Yeah, and what I love in this is that this scientist is so meek and so, you really feel like my heart goes out to this guy. He's so scared, and he did such a great job.
It shows the range that he has.
But if we come back to those scientists like that, what also for me, like for at least for once, I mean, you have Pritchard that helps Jensen throughout the game, but it's more kind of a psychological help. And now getting the feeling that those scientists are kind of
taking a part
of what you have to do to save Megan and save them.
They're being proactive on saving themselves as opposed to help me, Adam.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
What do you want? I told you people not to barge in here. Wasn't the new biochip design enough?
Dr. Koss, I'm here to get you out.
Jensen? From Seraph? But we were told we'd been written off.
Not exactly.
Listen, Jensen. They forced me to work for them. I didn't want to create the new biochip, especially since it was based on Seraph's research, but they didn't give me a choice.
No one doubts your loyalty, Dr. Koss. Do you know what they plan to do with this new biochip?
I'm not sure. They said something about having Tai Young Medical produce it and distribute it through LIM, but I can't be sure.
I know, and I'm here to bring you all back. But to reach Megan, I need you, Colvin, and Faraday to stage lab accidents as a distraction, simultaneously.
Isn't that a little risky? Besides, how will we coordinate these accidents? It's impossible.
Maybe not. But it's that or staying here and eventually ending up like Dr. Sevchenko.
They killed him, didn't they? He kept provoking them, coming up with these wild escape plans. They try to keep us apart as much as possible now. All right, Mr. Jensen. I'm with you. What's our next move?
We need to disable their GPL tracker. I know Dr. Sevchenko was working on something.
Yes, a virus program. We all thought it was too risky considering we had nowhere to go. But I don't have it. You'd better check with Nia or Declan.
Dr. Koss, the bioship you mentioned was based on Sarif's studies?
Yes, I believe so. At first I thought it was merely convergent research, but I've worked with Dr. Reed long enough to recognize her handiwork. Besides, I had been working on something similar back in Detroit.
And your knowledge of it made you invaluable here.
At least to a certain extent, it probably helped us all stay alive. But now with Dr. Shevchenko, I guess we've all become expendable. Except for Dr. Reed, I suppose.
Why do you say that?
It's more of a general feeling, I guess. Back in Detroit, we all realized that we were on the verge of something groundbreaking. And here, well, everyone seems to view her research as crucial in some way.
That might explain why she's being held in a secured area.
Possibly. I'm just glad we're going home. It's kind of hard to believe.
Declan, right. Dr. Koss, do you have any idea where they're keeping him?
I might. I overheard some of the guards. I think he might be working in the basement of the biomech labs. But I'm not sure.
Sit tight, Dr. Koss. When you feel a vibration from your GPL, set off that distraction. That'll be the signal.
I will. Good luck, Mr. Jensen. And hurry.
So this part of Omega Ranch was supposed to be where we wanted to kind of show all the atrocities that, the experiments that were done on humans, and in terms of, the advancement of transhumanism and stuff like that, and biotech technologies. Sadly, though, it's not really present, like all the crazy ideas. We had some really horrific things that we wanted to show. Like we had rooms that we literally called the horror rooms. This was the map for that. It was our kind of Silent Hill map, if you want. Now there's the beds. There's people lying in beds and whatnot. But that's pretty much as far as we went for all that.
Yeah,
I mean, the map went through several revisions, like we were discussing with Louis Etienne, and by the time it was the time to put the love into it, it was kind of already too late.
Yeah.
So.
But the good news is that we learned from our mistakes, and when we faced the same challenge in The Missing Link, the DLC, we had learned, so we tried a lot harder to make
that happen.
show there.
Yeah.
So there's good from learning.
I mean, you still feel it. You still know that this is what's going on, but it's just not as strong as what we wanted.
Yeah.
Here's a room that I really like, tying in with the Cyber Renaissance idea and analogy in the game. So here's an operation room. How do you say that? An operating room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, operating.
An OR.
An OR, yeah, exactly. Operating room would be like a direct translation of French, I guess. So, and the idea is that back in the Renaissance, when they started doing public dissections for other doctors, that's what would happen. They had like these amphitheaters with those kind of steps with all the stairs around them, because at the beginning only very specific doctors and scientists were allowed to do the dissections. They had kind of permits and personal permissions from the kings, so they would go from city to city, and all the doctors would come around to see them do the dissections and just kind of like all be surrounding what's going on and learning from it. So that was the idea here, to kind of make a very modern and tech-looking room that still had a bit of that rustic, weird amphitheater thing around it.
And the fun little interesting fact for me in this area is that the voice actor who is acting for this character, the scientist, is the same voice actor who plays Wayne Haas in the game. And yet many people probably don't pick up on that because he was very talented and very capable of changing his style up.
You mean he's not whining every character he does?
And the other point is that they're supposed to be working, so how come they're all standing still?
That's a good question.
Do we have an answer to that?
No.
Okay.
Adam? Adam Jensen? Good grief, lad. What the blazes happened to you?
I made the mistake of surviving. I'm here to get you out, Dr. Faraday.
I told Vasily that Seraph wouldn't stop looking.
Sevchenko's dead, Dr. Faraday. I'm sorry.
I figured as much. One day he was just gone, and they wouldn't say why. We were all afraid, so we just kept to the work. They forced me to create a signal pattern that could broadcast software upgrades directly into a person's implanted circuitry.
Upgrades? That do what?
Whatever instructions have been encoded into them. They said it was to improve efficiency at clinics, but that wouldn't be the only application. Far from it.
I see. Dr. Faraday, we need to free Megan from the isolation zone. I've got a plan to distract the guards. 3 lab accidents.
I like your style, son. And it just might work if you can get Nia and Eric to agree. But timing them to occur at once, that will be the trick.
I'll worry about the timing. For now, sit tight and wait for my signal.
There's one thing you're forgetting, lad. They can track our GPL signals.
I know. But I'm hoping you might have the solution to that problem. Sevchenko's viral program.
Of course! I shouldn't have underestimated you. Vasily gave it to me before he disappeared. Here you are. Upload it onto the central security computer. It will scramble their scanners. I would have done it myself, but I'm just a scientist.
Don't sell yourself short, Doc. Any idea who's behind this, Doc? The kidnapping, the facility?
Not really. Remarkable considering I've been here 6 months. You would have thought someone would let something slip. but if it doesn't have to do with the research, you don't get a word out of them.
Sounds like the guards are well trained. But what kind of threats were needed to stop the other researchers from talking?
Well, there were threats early on just to get us to work. Of course, Vasily saw right through that. Kept saying they needed us. I suppose in his case, the risk outstripped the return at some point. Damn them.
Dr. Sevchenko probably knew the risks and accepted them.
That he did. Go on, lad. Let's put this plan of yours into action. It's time to teach these wankers a lesson.
Tell me, where do I find this security terminal?
Vasily told me there's a tunnel leading to it, near the back of the compound, I believe. But I'm afraid you'll have to explore a bit to be sure.
Once I upload the virus, it'll be time to act. I'll signal you. A vibration in your GPL. Be ready.
Understood, lad. But do be careful.